Welcome to GFAtv, and this is TY. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to play chords and arpeggios. The motion of chords. Okay, so this is a new way of playing chords. So we're not going to play chords just to, like this, like plug it inside. We're going to barely move our fingers. So what does it mean? Play like this. Create a lot more powerful sound. It's concentrated sound and tone. So how do we do this? Okay, now let's explain this. Okay, so basically try to feel that have internal force throughout your arm to your fingertips. So we're going to actually use our elbow to play the chords instead of just using the fingers. So very important to remember all the fingers to be touching each other very tightly. Okay, not like this. You might get like in different timings when the chords is played. When you play, the force is generated from our elbow and then coming this way, upwards, like this. Okay? So try to feel. You can use your left hand to help. So resist here, and then we release. The chord, the power is coming up this way. You hold the string pressing down, hold firm, pressing down the string. You don't even need to actually play inside. Just hold it tight and then move everything up. Like this, okay? Now we can add some chords to exercise like this. So this is for chords. Arpeggios. What we want to do is isolate each movement. We don't want to do that. We do not want to do what I just did when I was talking. We don't want to link everything together like this. We want to do everything separated like this, like. Okay. So what we want to do is have a steady backhand. Steady backhand, don't do this, like very steady, the back of the hand or the back of your palm, like this. Only move fingers. Going first at a slower tempo. The reason why we want to have a slower tempo at first is you give yourself an extra beat for your attention to take a little break between each movement. Okay, so you can isolate the movements. Not like that's too fast. Okay, and then you can use any chord progressions you want, or you can pick out some chord in anywhere, or you can compose some chords. You can do this. So first, you do chords exercise like this. Okay, now do arpeggio exercise. That's a chord progression I really love. Okay, so you can pick any chord progressions and try to do the exercise with how to play chords and how to play arpeggios. And that's for this episode, and see you in the next episode.
Greetings, fellow GFAtv viewers. I'm Xeno Muller, connoisseur of all things classical guitar and guitar history, and today we're going to continue our discussion on Andres Segovia. If you remember from last week's episode, Andres Segovia was a famous Spanish guitarist who's often called the father of the classical guitar. Last week we introduced who this guy was, but now we're going to talk a little bit more about the music that was played by and written for Andres Segovia. We're going to talk about why he played it, why he expanded his repertoire to more than just Sor and Giuliani, and I'll even show you a few examples along the way. Very early into his guitar playing days, Segovia realized that there was a very limited guitar repertoire. He said that there were too few guitarists and too few composers writing for those few guitarists. Segovia was deeply envious of instruments like the piano and the violin, who, let's be real, have repertoire for days. Segovia really wanted to create a history for the guitar, and he was going to do just that. Having grown up in Spain, it wasn't like this guy had no guitar music to listen to. Flamenco is very popular in his country, but Segovia wanted something more. He imagined that he was saving the guitar from the hands of the flamenco players. Very opinionated. He wanted it to have a place in classical music history, so that one day maybe the guitar too would have a large repertoire spanning for days. Since the music that he dreamed of playing didn't exist, Segovia had to find a way to bring it to life. So he started traveling a lot. Traveling the world, he met many different composers, such as Torina, Tansman, Taroba, Tedesco, Ponce, and Rodrigo. Lots of T's. To create the illusion of a vast repertoire like the violin or the piano, Segovia sometimes told a couple lies. He'd have new works written for them but pass them off as old works from another time, a bygone era, but they weren't actually from that time. As you can see in this clip, Segovia claims that this work is by Domenico Scarlatti, when he was alive about 200 years earlier. This piece is actually written by Manuel Ponce for his Suite in D major. Nice one. Segovia wanted to develop a repertoire of quality. Violinists had Tchaikovsky, pianos had Rachmaninoff. Why couldn't the guitar have one of those as well? Segovia had to meet composers like these, who were not guitarists, to get the classical guitar to classical music lovers everywhere. Segovia wrote a couple guitar pieces himself, which served to be insightful for anybody who wished to write the guitar for him, but Segovia, more often than not, took a very decisive role in editing his composer's works. Composing for the guitar is so tricky, especially if you're not a guitarist, so he needed to be around for the process. You can see in many of Segovia's letters to Manuel Ponce that he helped him in the creative process. You can see in his work with Villalobos that he changed a lot of Villalobos' original work. A big flaw in Segovia's work was that his tastes were a little conservative, so he never really did anything to push the guitar forwards into modernism. He mostly liked to stay back with those classical and romantic ideals, which I don't blame him for. That's probably my favorite genre too. During Segovia's lifetime, a massive change was happening for the guitar. His worst nightmare, the creation of the electric guitar. Segovia hated this instrument. It's crazy how much this dude hated the electric guitar. He was famous for dissing it, like saying that there's no such thing as an electric violin, or an electric piano, or an electric vocalist, when in actuality, all of those things exist. Segovia was finding a hard time keeping up with this drastic change and spoke out against the Beatles and all of these popular musicians at the time. Classical music was changing around him too. Atonal music, 12-tone, expressionist, crazy music, all of this was coming out, and many composers wanted to write this music for Segovia, but he would not play it. You can see famously, Segovia turned down a lot of modern composers who were kind of looking to experiment with the guitar. For an example of some of this more modern, crazy music, let's listen to an excerpt from Frank Martin's 4 short pieces. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's the type of music Segovia wanted to play. Today, all guitarists of all shapes and sizes play all the music of all shapes and sizes recommended to Segovia, whether he liked them or not. Classical guitar technique has changed a truckload over the years, so a lot of guitarists prefer to use the manuscript versions of Segovia's pieces, so they can make their own conclusions with their own fingerings. Whatever genre of guitar you play, whether it's neo-soul, metal guitar, classical guitar, knowing that Segovia had an influence on all of these genres in one way or another is pretty insane. He played hundreds of concerts throughout his life, which brought the guitar up to amazing heights, and most importantly, he left us a mountain of amazing music to play. I'd like to thank a couple people for helping me put this video together. My school's starting again, and you know, it's crazy to be a student and a content creator. I hope you tune in next week as we explore what Segovia left with us and the players that followed him. Talk to you later, stay safe, and happy practicing.
Hi, my name is Federico Musgrove, and I wanted to let you know about the upcoming symposium taking place in February of 2021. This time around, we're offering all schools around the country our symposium in a new virtual format, featuring an exclusive performance by flamenco master Grisha Gorechev. We're also offering technique classes and a composition workshop by Andrea Gonzalez Caballero and our own Ryan Ayers. So check it out, the virtual symposium in 2021, with performances, masterclasses, workshops, ensemble showcase, and more. Visit our website, guitarfoundation.org, for more information.
Hello and welcome to GFAtv. My name is Rene Izquierdo. I'm a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and I want to welcome you to our third class of left-hand fundamentals. We're going to use 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 4. Those are combinations of two fingers as a continuity of what we were doing on the previous video. So, 1 and 3, keeping the same concept of weight transferring, relaxing your hand, bring it up, and you're gonna start, play the third finger so that you can find your hand position, and then from there you can see how to reach the one finger. For those of you, it's very important to know, actually, I would suggest that you will Google it, to know how your forearm works. Because we are what we call pinky oriented, meaning that this bone that connects here, that it goes all the way to the wrist here, this bone doesn't move, it's static. And the one above is the one that goes over that. So the pinky is like a fix, and then it moves. So it's very important, actually, when you are approaching this, instead of thinking of grabbing this way, you think of entering, putting the hand this way, that's relaxed, and then you drop it, versus having the hand this way, and then you bring the forefinger up. So what do I mean? If you do this, and you do that, it will be harder than if you actually do this, and then drop your hand. Again, this, bringing the hand this way, harder. Why? Because your focus of pressure and balance is on the thumb and the first finger. Rather, when you're doing this, and then you drop, then your third finger is right there, you see? Here, and drop, versus here, and bring up the forefinger. So, think of it like a clarinet player, the hands like this, and then you're just gonna let your hand rest, counterclockwise. So, hand like this, counterclockwise, that's relaxed. So, when you're doing 1 and 3, that's how you find the position. You go here, and then drop. And then, play your third finger, mute, so you're still not over pressing, and then you're gonna do the 1 and 3. 1, 3, and you're gonna move through all the strings. Make sure you're not over pressing on your thumb, very important not to over press. 4, third, then the 4th string. And in the right hand, you can do I and M, you can do anything you want. If you want to repeat, you can even do thumb on the basses. And then when you get to third string, you can repeat the finger. A finger, M, and and then I. See, I'm playing two strokes because I'm trying to kind of set a position so this hand doesn't become an issue, because I want you to be focusing on your left hand. So you can play on the 4th, 5th, and 6th string with the thumb, and then the rest of the strings you can do even repeating one finger for the moment, and then eventually you can do only 2-finger combinations. If you feel comfortable doing with I and M already, then by all means you can do so. But make sure that your teacher guides you and you understand what you need to achieve. So we just did 1 and 3, non-adjacent fingers, 1 and 3, 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 1 and 3. And I should do it the way I said, which on the right hand, which I will do on the next time. Now, we're gonna do after 1, 3, we're gonna do 1 and 4. So the extreme of the hand. And it's important the weight transfer idea, or shifting weight from one finger to the next. And then thumb. My thumb. See how my fingers have a clearance from the lower string just by coming right on the string like that, right on it. You know, if you put it a little bit too flat, then you're gonna be touching on the lower string. And then to create clearance, if they are flatted, then you will have to bring the wrist, which makes already a room for tension. Remember, wrist straight. Flexors and extensors even up. So you create just by coming and create this arch of the fingers, natural arch of the fingers to go into the string. Okay? Imagine if you open your hand, you're gonna do this. See that? Like if you're holding a lemon, you know? So that is the same idea here, you know? But not wrist out. Okay? So 1 and 4. 1 and 4, weight transferring. I know I'm going a little bit faster, but I already explained it. You can stop the video, you don't have to do it along with me. Okay, and then to finalize the non-adjacent finger combination, we finish with 2 and 4, which is a little bit more challenging, but fine. Again, put the 2 and 4 down without the thumb on the back, and after you have 2 and 4 down, then see where your thumb lies comfortably behind. Again, 2 and 4, no thumb, and then okay, right there, see? For my hand. For some hands will be a little bit more, if your hand is little, for other one will be a little bit more towards your left or your right. By the way, if you're left-handed and you play with the other way, just mirror the exercises, although I will be calling the different hand. I know some left-handed people that play with the guitar the other way around. So if you are one of those, it's just the same concept, just think about the other way around. Okay, so 2 and 4, weight transferring, feeling the position, put 2 fingers, then see where to drop that thumb nicely there. 2, 4, see how am I doing? A little bit of movement that we call vibrato, just to make sure that my hand is relaxed. I will explain about vibrato on the next. Okay, finish on 3 again. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, and then go back to 3rd string. Okay, and then relax. Thank you for watching, and good luck in your practice.
Hello everyone, my name is Vivian Wang.
And my name is Owen Wang.
In today's episode, we will be giving you guys some tips on guitar duos.
Before we get into that, let's talk about guitar and chamber music.
Usually, when people talk about classical guitar, most people will be thinking about guitar soloists or as a large group like an ensemble.
But many people don't know guitar can also be played with other instruments as well to form a mini ensemble. Guitars can sometimes be played with the cello,
Violin,
flute,
oboe,
harp, and more.
Yes, as you can see, the guitar can play with many different instruments.
An ensemble can also consist of only guitars. For example, If there's one player performing, then it's usually called a solo. If there's two people, then it's usually called a duo.
When there are three people, it's called a trio, and a quartet consists of 4 guitarists.
Since me and Vivian are two people, when we play together, we form a duo.
When we were younger, our skills weren't that good, so we could only play melodies together. Then, as we grew a little bit older, one of us would play the melody while the other would play the accompaniment.
Since me and Vivian's skill level are much higher, our songs are harder as well. Now, both me and Vivian's part are equally as important because sometimes I might be playing the melody here while she might be playing it somewhere else. Today, we'll be using Django by Paolo Bellinati as an example. Django is a dance as well as a musical genre from southeastern Brazil.
Jangos usually take place during night-long parties where people will dance in pairs or in a circle around a campfire, while other people are playing drums by their side. Now, we are going to be giving you guys some tips on guitar duos.
For tip number 1, make sure to be sitting at a 45-degree angle. This way, it's easier to interact with each other and also it's easier for cueing.
Tip number 2 is knowing who will lead the piece and when to start a piece, otherwise known as cueing. Usually, if the piece you're playing with your partner starts at the same time, one of you guys would nod your head to indicate to your partner that you guys are starting. For example, this clip. And this clip. In Django, however, Owen starts off the piece by playing a short introduction, so all I have to do is listen carefully and jump in at the right moment.
Tip number 3. Make sure to always write the dynamic markings on the score. This way, you and your partner can be together when it comes to dynamics.
Tip number 4 is knowing when to interact with each other. When you first get a music, you should choose some slow parts, special parts, or changes in music where you can interact with each other. For example,
Tip number 5. Make sure to know who will be leading the melody. In Django, both me and Vivian will be leading the melody for some times. In this example, Vivian will be leading the melody.
Tip number 6. What do you do when a mistake happens? Well, when a mistake happens, try to follow along with your partner and don't go back.
Tip number 7. The ending. Make sure to look at your partner when ending. This way, you will know when to end together. And then on the last note, try to hold the note and then try to mute together as well.